here's a new mid-ranger from OnePlus. The Nord N35G. What sorts of features can you expect here? And is it a good deal for the price? Let's find out in our OnePlus Nord N305 review. The Nord N35G is a rebrand of OnePlus's Nord C3 Lite, which was released in European and Asian markets. In contrast, this one is mainly meant for the US market. Unlike the more premium OnePlus models, which are more like flagships, this one is more of a middle-of-the-road mid-ranger. The back of the phone is made of plastic, and it has a glossy finish that easily attracts fingerprints. The frame is made of plastic as well, but overall the phone feels solid and well-made. You are missing a couple of things here. Compared to more expensive OnePlus models, you don't get the signature OnePlus Alert slider, and there's also no ingress protection. The display of the phone is a 6.72-inch LCD with a 1080 dp resolution and a 120 Hz refresh rate. This panel is sharp enough, but you miss out on those deep blacks, which you typically get on an old display. There's no support for HDR video here, and the colors aren't particularly accurate either, with whites and grays trending toward bluish, even after you tweak them in settings. As far as max brightness goes, we measured up to 550 nits with the manual slider, and this can boost up to 670 nits in auto mode. For an LCD that's usable outdoors, but not comfy if you're in the bright sun. The 120 Hz refresh rate smooths out the UI while you're swiping and scrolling around. It does dial down to 60 Hz to save energy, but we also found that many apps didn't make use of the full 120 Hz here for audio. The OnePlus Nord N35G has a pair of stereo speakers. They have very good loudness, and the sound quality is relatively clean, but without much bass. If you'd like to hear for yourself and compare to other devices. For biometrics, the Nord M30 has a fingerprint reader built into the power button on the side. It works great, fast and reliable, and the phone comes with 128 or 256 gigs of storage on board, and that is expandable through microSD. The Nord N35G's interface is the latest Oxygen OS 13.1 on top of Android 13. It's very similar to Realme 4.0 and Oppo's Color OS 13. If you've had some experience with one of these, then you'll feel right at home. There are a few custom features here on top of what you'd normally find on Android, like the floating windows function, and the smart sidebar is a convenient place where you can store shortcuts. Since these interfaces are so similar, if you'd like to learn more about the software experience, the chipset of the Nord N35G is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 695. It was never a powerful chip, even back when it came out in 2021. And now it's even more unimpressive in benchmarks. The Nord N30 earned middle-of-the-road CPU scores, and graphics scores leave more to be desired. Still, the Nord makes the most of it, and it can generally get the job done. There's enough power here to deliver a decent day-to-day experience. The Nord N35G has a large 5000 mAh battery, and the battery life is excellent here, with the phone earning an endurance rating of 119 hours in our proprietary tasks. Plus, the N30 comes with 50-watt SuperVolt charging and is very fast, able to charge from 0 to 73% in half an hour. Now let's talk about the cameras. You get triple cameras on the back, but honestly only one is really that useful. That's the 108-megapixel main camera, which is paired with a 2-megapixel macro camera and a depth sensor. We would have preferred at least an ultra-wide here, which you would find on most mid-range competitors. The main cam bins pixels to produce 12-megapixel photos. By default, these look very decent, with a good amount of detail and wide enough dynamic range. The photos do look slightly over-sharpened at times, while some details look a bit soft, but it's not a major complaint. You can get slightly better detail and an overall sharper image by shooting in 108-megapixel mode. As mentioned, the Nord N30 has two different 108-megapixel modes. One is the main camera UI's high-resolution toggle. It produces pretty clean photos, with notably improved finer details. Then there is the dedicated Extra HD camera mode. It oddly captures stills in around 108.5 megapixel instead of 108 megapixel. And that's not the only difference between the two modes. Looking at the photos side by side, we notice that the Extra HD camera mode generally produces softer images, with less pronounced fine detail. Given these observations, we would stick to using the high-resolution toggle and avoid Extra HD mode altogether. The main camera can capture pretty nice portrait shots. Portrait mode photos are pretty good looking. Subject detection and separation are decent. Maybe thanks in part to the depth sensor. It's still not perfect though, especially with the busier background. Then there is what OnePlus call is a 3x lossless zoom, produced by cropping from the center of the 108 megapixel sensor. These photos are nice and sharp. For a digital zoom photo, in low light, the main cam's performance is largely unimpressive. The detail level is decent and colors are true to life, but there's visible noise. Light sources are often blown out and shadows are very dark. There is a night mode you can enable, but the results are mixed. The shots are brighter and shadows are boosted, restoring some lost detail there. The Nord N305G can capture video at a maximum resolution of 1080 pixel and 30 frame rate. That's a hard limitation stemming from the Snapdragon 695 chipset, and not something you can get around by using an app like Open Camera. Video is captured in a standard H.264 AVC video stream at around 20 megabits per second with 48 kHz stereo AAC audio, saved inside an MP4 container. The main camera on the Nord N30 lacks OIS, and there are no signs of EIS in the video camera app. No toggle, no mode, or anything. However, some electronic image stabilization is obviously constantly applied to the footage. It's not really doing a great job, though. Next we have the 2 megapixel macro cam. You get the amount of detail you'd expect at this lower resolution, and you can take selfies. With a 16 megapixel front-facing cam, the colors are nice and the dynamic range is decent, but the subject comes out looking soft, with smooth-out textures. So that's the OnePlus Nord N35G. You get a large 120Hz display, good battery life, and very fast charging. If you'd like to check out some alternatives to the Nord N35G, one option is the Pixel 6a, which I've already mentioned. Or you could have a look at the Galaxy A1 for 5G, which we've also reviewed on this channel. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.